Hi, it's Papa. I want to talk to you honestly about the compost pile. I mean, the compost pile. You know, we don't have an outhouse here at the Minimalist Cottage, which is over there. If we did, it would look just like the TARDIS. And what we have is an excellent setup, but sometimes you have problems, and let's go talk about those problems honestly right now. Here's the composting area. That's nothing. There's nothing in it, and it's not being used. This is last year's compost pile. No. Yes. This is year before last compost pile. I'm using it to recycling it onto the current compost pile. This is this year's phase 1. It's done. Here's the current compost pile. Now we have had a spat of unusually cool and wet weather for off and on for 2 weeks. And when that happens, also you can see that we're not out in full sun. Oops, I guess I better go this way. We're not out in full sun. We have tree cover to hide all this stuff, make it less obtrusive for us personally. So what happens when you get these super wet, super cool times is you get maggots in your compost pile. So this compost pile got maggots in it day before yesterday. Big maggots, small maggots, lots of maggots. And maggots are okay with me because they decompose the stuff, but maggots turn into flies. House flies and deer flies and who knows what other kind of flies. So we don't want those in our compost pile. So what I do is when I rake around and see maggots in the compost pile, I spray some of this on it. Not much, and I would really prefer to use roach spray because it has a wider spray and puts down less, but I don't only have a wasp and hornet spray. I just spray it over the compost pile a little bit, especially on the material that's being composted, before I cover it up with last year's compost. That kills the maggots dead, and I think I don't have to do that except when we get these cool, wet spells and that are conducive to maggot production in the summertime, of course. And I'm very confident that stuff is going to decompose and become harmless. We only use it on the compost on our flower beds, and also, as you saw back there, we cover this year's material with last year's compost. So compost gets 2 seasons at least worth of decomposition, and I feel certain that's enough to break down that roach and or hornet spray. So passing this along, I haven't found a better way to do this. Recently, when I saw the maggots, I kind of went haywire, and I got this 55-gallon drum, and I thought I'd just pour everything in there because flies won't lay their eggs if there's a lot of liquid ammonium mixed in with everything. But then I thought, how are you going to deal with the liquid once the thing gets full? And you're not going to get, I don't think I'm going to get good decomposition there either. So the hornet spray, roach spray, whatever, works good. Boric acid might do the job. So I hope that helps any of you guys that are minimalists and kind of do the same thing. Minimalism is a process where you kind of learn as you go. We've been at it for 5 years and have not had a maggot problem until recently. And I'm convinced it's the weather. Eventually I may have to cut some of the shrubs out of this area to let in more sunlight. And I think that will help too, because sunlight kills all kind of germs and helps things dry out. That's the main thing. if the material can get dry, it's going to be less of an ideal habitat for maggots and that sort of thing. So it sounds a little gross, but that's the mechanics of a human life, something that our ancestors had to deal with. Think of an outhouse. I think that's a horrible idea, because all you've got is a deep hole and everything goes into that hole. That hole is not protected, and you sit yourself down on a seat that's right over that hole where all these maggots are crawling around creating flies and deer flies. Not a good idea. I think that was a perfect way to spread, in my opinion, filth and disease. I think this composting system is much better. Time will tell, but 5 years I think is enough to show me that this is a pretty good system. All right. Happy trails and happy minimalist and van camping to you guys. Please, if you like this video, thumbs up and subscribe, and give me comments on anything. I love to have comments from whoever you are about life, rocks, minimalism, trees, you name it. Pop out.